Fourth graders, do you know where Jesus comes from? Where does Jesus come from? Yes? Yes. He comes from heaven. From who? All of us? From who? From God. So whatever Jesus says comes from who? From God. And whatever Jesus says is true. One of the questions that Jesus is often asked in John's Gospel is, where do you come from? You have answered the question. When people ask that question, they generally mean, where about in Judea or in Galilee do you come from? People thought that Jesus comes from where? Galilee. And yet, he comes from God. However, the attentive readers of John's Gospel will recognize that there is more to that question than those who ask it to realize. The real answer to the question addressed to Jesus, where do you come from, is that Jesus comes from heaven or from God. This is what we find stated very clearly in this morning's gospel reading, which declares that Jesus comes from above or from heaven. The gospel reading goes on to declare that because Jesus comes from heaven, he is able to bear witness to what he has seen and heard in heaven. What he has seen and heard from God, his Father. He is uniquely placed to bear witness to who God is because, according to John's Gospel, he has been with God from all eternity and has come from God. Indeed, this gospel would go further and state that Jesus is God in human form. That is why we take Jesus so seriously, why we pay such close attention to what he does and says, to his life, death, and resurrection. Do you really listen to what Jesus says? Do you? Are you sure? What does Jesus say? Do you have some answers? Do you know what Jesus says to all of us?
Thank you for joining us for this celebration of the Mass. This virtual Mass is broadcast to hundreds of people every day of the week. You know, over 100 years ago, the very first celebrations of the Mass took place on the second floor of the Glenview Public House. It's been inconceivable that 100 years later, we would be reaching so many people all over the world through this technology. If you'd like to support the ongoing broadcasts of OLPH's Masses, please go to our website, go to Give Central, and you'd be able to support the ongoing outreach of this virtual ministry. Thank you for your support. Most of all, thank you for joining us in prayer. God bless you.